Here on stage, Lynette Kutschma, internet legend, 3D printing guru, and we have Ulf Wagner here from Sjömagasinet in Gothenburg, a legendary chef, providing the best food that you've ever eaten. If you ever had the time to go by Sjömagasinet in Gothenburg, you will never come there away from there sorry. And we have some food on the stage now. That's good because we haven't spoken so much about food.
It's almost lunchtime.
Yeah, it's almost lunchtime. This is the last thing before lunch, so to start preparing to get hungry. Lynette, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. So, hello. My name is Lynette. I am the co-founder of Natural Machines, and we are the makers of Foodini. Victor, can you come over here a moment, and we will unveil. We just kept it hidden so it didn't distract anybody from other speaking presentations. Foodini is a 3D food printer. So before I continue, I need everybody to understand what a 3D printer is in general, let alone with food. So imagine you have a sheet of paper like this, hello, and it's a normal inkjet printer. Your printer paper gets stuck, and it keeps printing the word hello over and over and over again until you get a three-dimensional hello, a three-dimensional word. That's 3D printing. That's what we're doing. Except rather than using ink from an inkjet printer or plastic or metal in a typical 3D printer, we're actually using food, fresh, real ingredients, to create dishes such as this. And you know what? It's not as crazy as it sounds. Because if you eat anything from a food manufacturer, you're already eating 3D printed food. Because what a food manufacturer does is they take food, they push it through machines, they shape it, and they form it. We've taken that exact same concept, and we shrunk it down to a design kitchen appliance that sits on your kitchen counter. So you might be thinking, that means I have to use pre-filled food capsules. No, you do not. Because I can guarantee you that if I force you to use pre-filled food capsules, I would not be on stage with such a great chef today. So food capsules could be an option in the future, but the key word is option. Because what we do is we ship with empty stainless steel food capsules. So you can use your own fresh, real ingredients. So this is real food, 3D printed. These capsules come with different nozzle sizes. This is an example of some of them. So you can print different textures. People tend to think 3D food printing is just, a mashed potato formula in terms of texture or baby food texture. It is not. You do not need to add any gelling agents. You do not need to add additives or preservatives. With the different nozzle sizes, you can accommodate different textures. So as an example, we do things like print with couscous with vegetables without blending it. It's just whole couscous. We do burgers and cranberries and walnuts. So as the technology expands and grows, we imagine the food textures will expand and grow as well in the future. There's room for up to 5 food capsules behind the door there in Foodini, so the machine will automatically exchange ingredients as it needs it. So you can print multi-ingredient dishes without touching the machine. It's automated. So why 3D print food? Why are we doing this? There's a lot of reasons. We'll just hit a couple of them today. And of course, Chef will explain some of his reasons. But there's 2 main reasons why we find chefs are interested in 3D food printing today. One, because it can do food presentations that are simply not possible by hand. Try doing this by hand. The other one is automation. So this is a 3D food printed dish that's printed in a Michelin-starred restaurant near Barcelona. It's on their daily menu. You might eat 3D printed food today and not even know it. But when he has 50 people for a sitting, to do something this intricate, the honeycomb bit is printed. To do something that intricate by hand, if you could, would take a long time. The machine automates it, and it's much faster. Let's talk about creativity. So these are, an example, some tiles that are found commonly in Barcelona, which is where we were based. So if you walk around the sidewalks, you'll see these tiles. We had a chef in Barcelona look at these tiles and the same day print a dish based on it. So he took local ingredients that were fresh and seasoned in Barcelona at the time and printed this dish. Now, I talked to some other chefs about how they can do this without a 3D food printer, and they kind of can't sometimes, depending on the design. What typically could happen is somebody has an idea, they sketch it out, they get a mold, it's food grade, food safe, it takes a couple months to produce it. And some of these food molds cost a lot of money, like 800 euros, crazy. But with the same machine, you can do your innovative prints in the same day as you see them on the sidewalk. So our big vision is that in 10 to 15 years, 3D food printers will become a common kitchen appliance in both home and professional kitchens. 10 to 15 years, not tomorrow, but it's coming. It's going to be a common kitchen appliance. Now, do we need this? You know, is it a novelty? Do we need a head printed out of butter on our tables to survive as a human race? Yes, we do. Good answer. Good answer. Well, some people might say no, it's a bit of a novelty, and in this case, perhaps it is. This was created for a client that was doing a dinner party with strangers, and they wanted a conversation piece on the table. Broke the ice right away. People started talking. But you know what? Food presentation is important. We know that. You know, we're food techies. So when we look at our food, we're gauging it from the moment we see it, whether it's in a Michelin-starred restaurant or elsewhere. It's also important for kids. I have 2 kids aged 6 and 8. I've been printing for them for a couple of years. I couldn't get them to eat spinach in the past. I tried spinach quiche, nothing worked. But the minute I took that same spinach quiche recipe and printed it in the shape of dinosaurs, my dinosaurs became extinct super fast. These were the last 3 I could grab a photo of before they just totally disappeared. So it is important. But food shaping is also important for other reasons. We're working with hospitals for people who are having trouble swallowing or have medical issues swallowing. Right now, they're served food that's mushy or it's in a bowl. It's very soft because that's what they can handle. But it's not very appetizing visually. So they're using 3D food printing to make it more visually enticing so people actually eat. This is a dish that a chef created that he wanted to pay homage to the fish that gave its life to feed dinner. So it's a bit of a reminder that this came from a live creature. And they created this dish to remind all the people about where that food actually came from. So there's a lot of different ways you can do things with 3D food printing, but we can also lessen food waste, not only at your home or at the restaurant because you can print what you want to eat and nothing more, but up the food chain. We're working with food manufacturers that, for example, create fish fillets, and then they throw away the bones, which still has a lot of meat. You can actually take that meat, which is close to the cartilage, which has a lot of vitamins and nutrients, and make it beautiful with 3D food printing so we actually eat it. We're working with manufacturers that do ugly fruits, ugly vegetables, not nice cuts of meat that are still very nutritious, very healthy, and making it not only edible, but beautiful and very tasty. And speaking of tasty, there's a lot of stuff going on over here that I think we should check out and see what's happening. So.
Hi, everybody. It's fantastic to be here. I came up here yesterday and I met Lynette for the first time, and we started to create food. This actually is a plain guacamole. You know, avocado, some cilantro, some whatever you want to use in it. I use some tomatoes and, of course, some chili. And then we make a fantastic, very smooth mixture out of it. And then we printed it in this machine to get it into a shape we wanted. Now I filled this with some tomato sauce and raw-fried langoustine tails and a salad with arugula and cilantro. And yeah, it's fascinating.
One of the misconceptions with 3D printed food is people tend to think whatever comes out of the printer is, that's it, I'm done. But think about sometimes when you make dinner, you might grill a steak, you might put some vegetables in the steamer, you might put something in the oven and put it all together on the dish. Same thing.
I have to move you away because we need to.
Oh, I am sorry. I am blocking the food. Do not block the food. I am sorry. So a 3D food printer, when you think about it, no memory card. We have no memory. Okay. A 3D food printer is a kitchen appliance. So you're using it as something to help create a dish, which is exactly what Chef is doing. He's taking other elements and adding it to the dish. Now, this, you might look at it and say, oh, it's a square. You know, that's not too hard, but it actually is kind of hard. How often do you print a square that's perfect on all edges and it has a base to it and edges? So some people say, oh, we can only do intricate shapes to make it worthwhile, but it's not true. So we've done some things with simple circles, for example, but try printing a perfect circle. And again, keep in mind that automation aspect.
Ulf, what's in that one now?
This is even more exciting. This was quite a challenge for me at Sjömagasinet to try to work a lot against the seasons or with the seasons, which means we don't serve strawberries in the middle of January, or we don't, and so on. And now it is asparagus time. Actually, from the 15th of April and until the the first weeks of June, the white asparagus is getting so thick and so big and so juicy and so tasty that for me it's the prime produce out of the garden. And I boiled it in white wine with some shallots, some cream, and then when it was ready, I mixed it and took it through a strainer, and we printed it back into the shape of an asparagus almost. I filled it with some fresh scallops, some white bait roe, some tips of the asparagus, and a mayonnaise scented with browned butter. Just like that, voila.
It was a bit of a challenge for us as well, because when we were exploring ideas as to what to do, one of the major differences between a 3D printer that does plastic and metal versus food, gravity. You have to watch out. So plastic and metal can defy gravity to a certain extent, so you can print supports that later break away after the print is done. Can't really do that with food. So initially we were looking at, can we do something circular, but gravity would kind of pull that top bit down. So you do have to watch out for certain elements when you're 3D printing, although you can get creative. We've had people do shapes that look like they defy gravity. It's because we printed it upside down and then flipped it afterwards. So you can get creative around it.
Okay, cool. So question, what's happening in Foodini right now?
I don't know, I can't see it.
I know. We're printing.
Are we printing?
Yeah. We're printing one of those asparagus containers or shells.
Okay, so by now realize you've been looking at my lunch, not yours, right?
So it's going to have all three portions, because I have another one coming out.
I have dessert over there as well. No, so how long does it take to print a shape like this?
These took about 7 minutes apiece. So one of the key things is we know it has to be fast. No one's going to wait hours for dinner. Plastic and metal take a while. These can be faster depending on what you're doing, because the key thing is it's not just one print speed. We're using a lot of artificial intelligence and artificial vision to optimize the print. And believe it or not, one of the most factors that determines the print is the actual ingredient itself, and then of course the design and the shape and the size. But we're looking to get it as fast as possible because it's food. Do you want to wait forever for food?
No. And
Me neither.
We're seeing now on the big screen, we see Foodini printing here.
It's fantastic.
It's pretty amazing. So Ulf, will you get one of these?
I have 9. You see that. That's no problem. I tried the 4 ones that we had to.
We had to. You cannot waste food, right? But what would you do with such a thing in your kitchen?
As I told you, I was just I got face to face with this yesterday, and since that, my little chef's brain been working a lot with all the options and the possibilities there are. I think you can do a lot on the dessert side. You can do a lot on the first course side, and you can actually, if you go beyond restaurants and out of my so to say kitchen, I think this is excellent for hospitals, space, people going up on a spaceship, and suddenly somebody says, I like some white asparagus. Yeah, we print one.
Of course, they wouldn't want anything else, I think.
And then, of course, you can do several things. You can print this and then print another thing into it, and voila, you have your meal.
So you could really print the hot dog, right? First you print the bread, and then you print the dog in.
I think you would print a much healthier version than anything you find processed right now. So I think what's key is we're not working on a nanotechnology level. We're not doing so. Our vision is not to replicate a banana because that exists in nature, or replicate lettuce because that exists in nature. But we can use those as ingredients to make other recipes.
But these things will be then in every home from now on, right?
Not from today on. We're being
but
realistic on technology. We're saying 10 years. But if you look at microwave adoption in terms of 90% household penetration took 30 years, we're saying 10 to 15 for this because we're a much more tech society and we adopt technology faster.
But this is pretty fun though, because this is not just your only showcase, because you're out there already in restaurants. How many of these are out there serving food to people right now?
We're not saying that just yet because a lot of people are under NDA, but I can tell you that there are restaurants that are using this. So again, you might be eating 3D printed food and not even know it, because how often do you go into a restaurant and on the menu it says, oh, we made this steak with a grill, or we made these vegetables with a steamer. So some people are using it as a tactic to get you in. It's 3D printed food. It's a buzzword right now, but a lot of others aren't.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, is it ready by now?
It's 1 minute left.
1 minute left. let's wait it out and take it out so we can see it properly.
But for me, the big surprise was when I first heard about this, I thought, oh, there might be some, powder or some, but it's real food.
It's real food.
It's like if you want to do this with mashed potatoes, it's a potato mash. If you want to do this with asparagus, you do asparagus and transform it into a puree or something. And I suppose if I want to do this in the shape of a fish to attract people or young people to eat fish, I can do that with cod or with haddock or whatsoever.
Or even showing kids what the fish look like, because they don't know that today, right?
No, they think fiskpinnar is fish.
It comes in a stick with breadcrumbs. So we're showing a lot of different designs today in terms of 3D or what have you, but I would ask you to think in the consumer household, think about, square crackers. So right now we buy a lot of crackers, so you have an entire aisle in the supermarket, but they're not really great for you. They have palm oil, salt, too much oil. But you can make your own recipe and print it. So it doesn't have to be fancy shapes. So again, I ask you to use that food processing analogy. Anything you buy from a supermarket that's from a food manufacturer, this is a mini food manufacturing facility. That's where it's going.
How do you know that the consistency that you put into the tubes isn't going to then collapse when you print it?
That's kind of the fun experimentation of kitchen when you cook in general. So, if something's too watery, you can probably do a two-dimensional print, like a plate design. But if it can't stack up, if you were going to put it on a dish or a spoon, if it can't stack up, the machine's not doing anything magical or adding any magic powder to make it defy gravity or stack up. So you do have to watch out for your food textures. But when you get a new food processor in your kitchen, you may or may not read the instructions. You start playing around with it, and then you kind of know what your food processor can do. It's the same here, with the caveat that the technology is constantly expanding. So one of the nice things about this is we just talked about the 3D food printing today. This is also an IoT device, Internet of Things, so it's connected to the internet, so it's always going to be updated like your phone or your Tesla, so you will have the most state-of-the-art 3D food printer at all times, which will advance in functionality.
Trial and error, And the
Yeah.
best thing with food is you can always eat your mistakes.
Oh,
That's good.
good.
I'd rather eat your mistakes than mine, I can tell you.
Sorry.
Gleb, is it finished by now? Shall we take it out?
Yeah, could you please? And it's fun for the children. They can watch it instead of Martha Stewart or something. That's stupid.
That's wonderful.
Look.
Yeah. It looks wonderful. It smells wonderful. Okay, folks. Thank you guys
White
so
asparagus.
much for this.
Thank you.
You'll fill another one here.
Yes, of course.
Wonderful, wonderful. And while you're doing that, I'd like to inform that lunch is being served. Once they're up, and please mix and mingle with people that you don't know, because this is the big meet, and you're supposed to meet people, and you're also supposed to have a delicious lunch. Not this, though. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.